Plants vs Zombies 1 was truly video game perfection. Reviewers couldn't find even one thing wrong with its simple addictive gameplay. Compare this to the recent Plants vs Zombies 3, which people have called a game that straight up comes from a garbage can, in which watching 30-second ads for double coin rewards is more fun than the game itself.
I'm a say it. I hate when games are like, watch an ad and get these free things, and it is probably the worst thing that has come to games like ever. I hate it. I hate it.
What made the original so damn good? At a price of just $2.99 in the App Store, with no ads or extra in-game purchases, Plants vs Zombies 1 was simply amazing value. The easy first level gets players addicted immediately.
In just one level, the game already indoctrinates you into its gameplay cycle flawlessly and in a fun way.
With one 5-star review writing, I won't say that the game is a cakewalk, but it isn't particularly challenging either. Still, the game offers enough mental stimulation that I never once grew bored. This is due to the game's incredible variety, offering loads of different plants, zombies, and music, with comments stating the soundtrack alone is enough to make you want the game. This makes it so entrancing that people can play for hours, which led to crazy commercial success. In addition to almost perfect professional reviews, Plants vs Zombies became the highest rated App Store product, having sold more than 300,000 copies in its first 9 days available, a new App Store launch record. Developers expanded the game to 13 other platforms, creating so much success for PopCap Games they'd be bought by EA for $650 million. Yep, EA.
That makes sense. If EA buys you, I'm expecting you to be the worst thing ever. I have seen what they've done to other games, and it's just, I don't.
On the 15th of August 2013, Plants vs Zombies 2 came out, with one key difference compared to the first.
PopCap found a way to cram this game with as many in-app purchases and microtransactions as humanly possible.
Certain plants could only be accessed using cold hard cash, and while coins could be naturally earned in-game, you could pay up to $52 to instantly unlock them. The Pirate Seas and Wild West levels can also be unlocked without earning all of the required stars. They cost $5.49 each to instantly access. More controversial for whatever reason was the game's new art style. People argued that every single character looked to be designed by a totally different person, each of whom had their own way of drawing. There's videos dedicated to the poorly designed plants, with the excessive discussion about this flaw being a meme within the community. This was because they'd hired a whole new team of designers, and under suspicious circumstances fired George Fan, who designed PvZ1 all by himself. Article later confirmed EA fired Plants vs Zombies creator for refusing microtransactions in sequel.
How are you gonna fire the person that made it? Fuck you, EA.
These elements led to videos claiming Plants vs Zombies 1 is better than Plants vs Zombies 2, but that's not to say that the second game was awful. It featured so many different plants it's hard to even count them, and offered 312 levels compared to just 50 in PvZ1. These PvZ2 levels were each set at varying levels of difficulty, better serving a wider range of players. The second game therefore also received amazing feedback, with critics stating the game is just as enjoyable without spending a dime, and that you'll only need to pay if you're exceptionally impatient or just not very good at these kind of games. The microtransaction model also meant the game was totally free, leading to 25 million downloads in the first 2 weeks, more than PvZ1 had achieved in 4 years. In fact, according to Hey I'm Jay, for every dollar the original was making, PvZ2 made 26,000.
Oh my god.
The original free for every player, although this meant people would be paying with their time.
It's free now, which naturally means that the game absolutely bombards you with ads. God, I love mobile games.
Before every level, you have to watch an unskippable ad, then sit there to download what you watched. At the end of every level, you're forced to briefly play a different mobile game, with the hope that you'll download it later. Items can be earned by watching further ads, which are even served to those who initially paid for the game. You could say it's even more annoying than the microtransaction model, which was earning so much money for PvZ2 that start to build Plants vs Zombies 3. In the meantime, developers took a detour and put out Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. This third-person shooter was
Wait,
certainly different, but
I don't think
reviews
I've
of
ever
7
played
out of
that.
10 or higher. Garden Warfare was surprisingly amazing. I remember spending definitely over 500 hours grinding it as a kid. They'd therefore released Garden Warfare 2, which was even more successful than the first, confirming the third-person shooter style was perfect for the series. So when they announced what was basically Garden Warfare 3, developers likely expected another successful title. It was called Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville, which featured an epic trailer in 2019, gaining over 15 million views from super excited fans, but with people eventually stating,
"This whole trailer was fantastic and I love it. Too bad I love the trailer more than the game."
the game was a total flop.
What?
Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville is one of the worst games you've never heard of. Extensive posts like this called it a complete and utter disaster in almost every way, and one of, if not the worst multiplayer game I have played in 2019. It referenced problems such as bugs and graphical errors, textures and map design are absolutely horrible, whilst the characters all control awfully and feel very unenergetic since the sound design is absolutely garbage. Then, of course, there were the microtransactions.
These need to be unlocked, and the way you unlock these characters is through a specific challenge called giving EA $30. But the game already costs $30 to buy, and you expect players to spend that twice in order to play the new characters?
Okay, I hate the new wave of you need to buy a battle pass or you need to buy some specifically to play new characters on a game. I hate it. I hate it. I really do.
Bad graphics, boring gameplay, boring characters. Compared to Garden Warfare 1 and 2, this game is very bad. They'd therefore stop updating it after only 11 months, leading to comments like it is so sad how fast this game died. If it had a little more time to develop and didn't have microtransactions, then it would have never disappeared. But apparently the franchise didn't learn their lesson, as during that very same year, Plants vs Zombies 3 was nearing completion.
There was a 3? There was a number 3?
However, when the first bit of gameplay was posted to YouTube,
Oh, that looked nasty.
For starters, the game was now in portrait, which to be honest was probably more convenient, but at the same time it looked extremely weird. The lawn is literally horizontal. Why? Why is the display vertical? The game had also gone from 2D to 3D and had another change in art style.
Yeah, I don't like that art style.
It is evolving just backwards. The new pea shooter model looked absolutely awful.
The pea shooter looks like it's on cocaine.
PvZ3 was taken off the App Store. They'd re-release it 1 year later, to which people said compared to the alpha this looks great. However, again, it still wasn't good enough. This happened again in 2022, then again in 2024, receiving the same feedback at every single point. The game was simply boring.
There is just nothing to do in this game, man, besides grind the stupid main quest that just sucks.
I've just spent 3 hours playing the 4th beta of PvZ3, and I gotta say, how does EA get away with this? The game is 10,000% dumbed down, no more collecting plants, no more input on plant choosing, sun is now worth 1 and plants cost 1 to 5 plus, animations feel capped at 10 FPS, gameplay feels unfun. Others complained it just had a scummy feeling.
Yeah, you know, that looks like those games that I don't know. It looks like those games that are just sketchy. That's why I like COD. I don't blame you.
It's like I'm watching an App Store ripoff of PvZ.
Yeah, it does look like a ripoff.
5 years after its first alpha launch.
It does feel like a ripoff, not gonna lie. Alright, so PV1 was fine. The second one was fine. The third one just looked awful. It doesn't exist, essentially. They keep re-releasing it and removing it. If you have to keep releasing it and removing it, then maybe go back to the drawing board for that one. You know? Go back to the drawing board. Ooh.
Back in 2011, Angry Birds was everywhere. They had multiple different games, toys, and movies, generating hundreds of millions of dollars. But by 2019, they were firing masses of staff, and since then things have only gotten worse. Perhaps it's just karma for stealing the initial idea. Angry Birds wasn't an original concept. In April 2009, a game was released named Crush the Castle, which required players to fire a trebuchet into wooden structure hiding medieval people.
Oh.
In December 2009, game developer Rovio made an app named Angry Birds, which, while clearly being a rip-off, was better in every way. It had cooler, cleaner animated graphics, and different stages, each with different levels. You got points for every enemy killed, and points for every bird you didn't use, giving players the chance to compete for high scores. Throw in 5 different birds with 5 different abilities, as well as a cool, catchy soundtrack, and it's easy to see that Angry Birds was better. They'd developed 51 games prior to Angry Birds, none of which saw even the smallest bit of success. Therefore, when Angry Birds took only 2 months to become the #1 paid app in 60 countries, they understandably took the chance to milk it. They'd make loads of different varieties like Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Space, and Angry Birds Star Wars, helping it become the #1 paid app in Apple's App Store.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember all of those spin-offs of the original Angry Birds. I only remember the original. I remember getting the original, and that is it. Closest I got to playing Angry Birds again was like in a Dave & Buster's, because there's a game in Dave & Buster's where it's like an Angry Bird themed stuff, and you get to throw Angry Birds, and it's really funny.
6 to 7 million paid downloads. By the end of Angry Birds' first year, they'd made $10 million US, but players still demanded more. We have so many fans who have asked for the plush toys, so these are going to be available in a couple of weeks, and we're really trying to build Angry Birds into this entertainment franchise. It took only 4 months before that announced 60,000 Angry Birds soft toys have been sold, as the game itself became the best-selling paid app of all time.
I don't think I would ever get an Angry Bird plush.
Implement microtransactions like Mighty Eagle.
Oh, the eagle looks so nasty.
That implement microtransactions like Mighty.
Like, look at him. Where's his wings? He's just all belly and schnoz. He looks like the angry uncle at every function that you go to. I remember when the eagle peed in the pool in Angry Birds? Oh no! I did not see the Angry Bird movie, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it's good or not.
With celebs like Justin Bieber even advocating for it, Angry Birds made $100 million in 2011 and went from 28 employees in the beginning of the year to 224 employees by the end of 2011. 5 months later, they set a new world record. First mobile game series to reach 1 billion downloads. They'd double their revenue again by the end of
Okay, that's a lot of moolah.
at which point they started to face a serious problem. The game was getting stale. They'd made multiple different Angry Birds versions, but hadn't changed the concept in over 3 years. As a result, in the following year, their profits more than halved, with Angry Birds falling to 59th in the App Store. They'd release Angry Birds Go at the end of 2013, and while this was somewhat of a Mario Kart ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
So, I mean, it's fun. It is good fun. It looks good. It plays well.
Professional reviewers gave it 7.7, while people on Reddit called it their favorite Angry Birds game, and perfection at its finest, releasing an RPG game named Angry Birds Epic, which again received incredible reviews reading, "The latest Angry Birds title is a welcome addition to a franchise, which hasn't seen much."
I would have never thought of an
since its
RPG
inception
for
back in
this.
2009. Similarly, users said it might be the best RPG title I've ever played.
And honestly, a pretty solid time. I think the approach they went with here really worked and paid off.
The only problem was, these games didn't sell merch like the original Slingshot format. Therefore, merchandise sales plummeted, while total 2014 revenue dropped, and profits fell 73% to 10 million euros. Some media outlets reported, Rovio lays off 110 people as Angry Birds hype fades, States, representing 14% of the company's workforce. They try to fix their decline with yet another experiment, Angry Birds Pop, which was pretty unsuccessful. In a Reddit thread asking out of all the Angry Birds games, which one do you think is the worst, Pop was mentioned many times over. The sequel was filled to the brim with microtransactions, clearly annoying the fanbase who wrote,
I don't know if I'd play that. The thing that gets me with this is if you see that this particular game isn't going well, you should really have teams in the background working on something else instead of Angry Birds. You gotta let it die.
Let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up.
The game is just trying to throw you off balance and get under your skin so that you pay more. The official IGN review said the game took significant steps backward for the massively popular series. Angry Birds 2 is missing key parts of what made previous games so universally compelling to gamers both hardcore and casual, young and old. Still, due to its intense monetization, Angry Birds 2 became their highest earning game. Surprisingly, however, that very same year, that announced losses of almost 15 million and would fire a further third of their workforce, this time being over 200 people. This seemed to imply that Angry Birds was dead until they'd make an unexpected comeback. Turns out they'd spent the previous 3 years privately developing the Angry Birds movie. At a cost of 73 million, they'd made a risky bet, but with a star-studded cast and a fun little story, the Angry Birds movie did surprisingly well. It made over 350 million.
Okay, it didn't do too bad. The Angry Birds movie is 9 years old. Is it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh my god. I feel old, me too. My bones are creaking.
People began replaying their previously released games, while Angry Birds theme parks popped up in different countries.
Theme parks? That's diabolical.
Was still declining in quality. In his video, I played and ranked every Angry Birds game so you don't have to. Jake Miller talks about Angry Birds Action.
Angry Birds Action was the start of using the new anthropomorphic designs from the movies in their games, which I think most fans agree was the real beginning of the end for the series.
I wasn't that interested in the Angry Birds after the first game, I'll be honest. Even when the movie came out, I just wasn't interested in watching it.
However, their $65 million bet didn't pay off so well this time. Forbes wrote Angry Birds 2 is worse than the original in nearly
Wait, there was a second movie? What? There's a sequel, right? I didn't
Despite
know!
their older games being low maintenance, Rovio decided to completely stop updating them. Then, without explanation, some of the older beloved titles, including the original Angry Birds, were deleted from the App Store. When people began to talk about what they'd done, people made compilations stating Angry Birds was dead. There were comments like, "Remember when Rovio actually cared?" whilst hashtag BringBack2012 began to trend on Twitter. Things got so bad that Rovio apologized, stating they only did it as maintaining the highest quality of updates and live operations.
Rovio, you need to get your shit in order. You need to get your shit in order. Before you start purging any of your games, anything in the past, you gotta be straight up with people. You gotta be like, hey, these are old and we ain't got the monies. You gotta tell people, you can't just
that announced they planned on redeveloping Angry Birds Classic, which was re-released on the App Store in 2022, but at a price of $1.99.
$1.99! I'd rather get candy with $1.99.
Successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store. However, others knew exactly what Angry Birds was doing. They got rid of the old ones so that you would have no other choice than to play the modern Candy Crush-esque games. They despised the games that made the company and so lost its spirit. Rovio basically confirmed this, openly stating they changed the name due to the game's impact on our wider games portfolio. They further requested that fans continue to bring that passion to our live Angry Birds slingshot games, such as Angry Birds 2, however players weren't too happy.
They really just put a gun to the head of everyone and said, I hope you enjoy the rest of our games, right? You'll give love to the rest of our games, right? We are not manipulating you in any sort of way. We have no way to do.
The drama was so severe, it seemingly halted any future games, as Angry Birds Classic is still the most recent title, released way back in 2022. In 2023, Rovio was sold to Sega, although this has done little to fix their reputation. One recent tweet expressed, "I very much still love Angry Birds. That said, the current state of it is dogshit. Despite everything, Angry Birds isn't finished, as they just announced they're making a third movie.
A third?
The rest of the franchise in decline."
Wait, hold on, a third movie? A third movie. Hold on. What is it even gonna be about? I didn't even know they had a second one, much less planning a third one. I have never met anything that's a little bit more hungry than Angry Birds, besides Ryan's World. What do you mean? I didn't represent my fandom enough. I decided that I still want to keep going.
It had a budget of $10 million.
For $10 million, I'd rather just get my own house.
With empty movie screenings and a score of 2 out of 10 on IMDb, the recent Ryan's World movie was an absolute flop, and it's really not surprising. Take for example the film's first 18 seconds. The pivotal opening shot that sets the scene is absolutely awful. Rather than making a meaningful first impression and teasing the audience with a hint of what's to come, it rather shows Ryan's mum doing Tai Chi yoga on her front driveway of all places. Who does yoga on a driveway? Then, without explanation, a giant blue egg lands right beside her, revealing not only a film crew in the garage's reflection, but also the title of the film, Ryan's World the Movie Titan Universe Adventure, as suggested by his mum being based on what I saw in the trailer, it appears to be a bland and generic film, with a mix of boring live-action scenes and disappointing animated scenes too. The special effects look mediocre and even awful at times. Others called it one last cash grab before he gets too old to exploit. Great job, Ryan's parents. A rename was suggested to Child Exploitation the Movie.
Child Exploitation? Set my man free. Set Ryan free. Let him play video games. Let him become a streamer, bro. There has to be better ways to let him branch out besides forcing him to do kid movies and kid toy reviews still. Let my man go.
The first actual scene is Ryan live streaming a magic show, being helped by Dan Rhodes, a famous YouTube magician. Holding the camera is Ryan's supposed best friend Aiden, yet with an almost 4-year age gap between them, their friendship is already totally unconvincing. The moment their live stream starts, Ryan instantly gains 2 million likes, despite there only being 145,000 viewers. When Ryan asks just a few seconds later,
"How many people are watching, Aiden?"
Aiden responds,
"Holy wow, already at 3 million.
Apparently reading this staggering figure while still staring at the back of her phone, which you can also see recording in the standard iPhone video app.
Bro, what?
Ryan's then unable to finish his magic trick, as his magic goop is empty, giving his live stream such a shock, they completely forget how to act. He goes to the comic book store to blow off some steam. Here he encounters a crazy fan.
"Ryan, whoa, huge fan. Can I get a selfie? Please, 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 please."
Who's wearing such an incredibly strong outfit.
What? He's old enough to the point where he should be branching out and doing stuff that other preteens do. You know? Do some video game. Watching anime, doing other stuff, you know? Not being stuck as like a 6-year-old kid. Also, the outfits in this are atrocious in this movie. They're atrocious.
Once inside, Ryan finds a comic book, which he steals from the store to bring back home. His sisters accidentally get sucked inside it, both being turned into animated characters.
What? I'm sorry, the way he fell in there.
Many segments that add nothing to the story and only make it even more confusing. Adding to this is the fact that the second half is animated, with the animated section being even more confusing. Simplified, Ryan goes inside the comic book and teams up with his sisters to defeat an evil enemy.
Okay, not to be that person, but why do they whitewash him?
Aiden distracts Ryan's parents in the real world, who are too busy to notice that their own kids are missing.
"Why are you wearing that?"
"For a damn video. He's gonna pull me out of his hat to stay trending.
having a
What?
competition to see who can be worse at acting.
Aiden, is everything okay in there? I heard yelling. Are the kids fighting again?
Oh, you ain't the fella. You ain't the breadwinner. Get the fuck out of the camera.
You kicked butt.
Okay, that handshake really, it hurt my head. It hurt my head. It hurt.
The closing scene is Ryan finding more problems,
Not this again.
showing they planned on making a sequel.
If the fans ask for another movie, then maybe.
The sequel?
Yeah.
His dad is holding a gun against his back right now. Like, right, Ryan?
Right now, it's never been done before, so we don't know what the outcome is. But we're really optimistic. We feel very excited about it.
Well, when they first premiered the movie for the public, it wasn't looking good, as barely anyone showed up to watch, leaving most of the seating completely empty. People confidently added, "I can't see it doing well in theaters. Parents can't stand this shit and will wait for streaming. It will bomb for sure. It comes out the same day as Alien Romulus."
Should we arrest the parent? I feel like the parent need to be stopped. There needs to be an intervention. Let the man grow up. Why is he doing kid films right now?
Nobody went to watch it. So my family and I were literally the only ones in the theater to watch Ryan's World, and I must say it was a big disappointment. I do not recommend this movie. Another person explained we went to go see the Ryan movie, but nobody showed up, adding the film was no better than a 2 out of 10. A different user videoed their entire movie theater, again showing they were the only person there, which actually received a response from Ryan's parents. "Thanks for showing up and watching. It's a movie about bonds between siblings. It's not always rainbow and sunshine, but at the end of the day, they learn to be there for each other. Yeah, glad I got to support your son by paying 54 cents for my ticket."
Nobody showed up for the screening. Oh my god. I knew the movie was bad. I just didn't know how bad it was. You probably shouldn't release it if, your free community screening that his parents did, no one showed up. They would have had more success if they kept that animation style and made just like a little YouTube series for him and his siblings. It probably would have gotten more views than whatever the heck this movie got.
Never had to clean a theater with more than 4 tickets sold.
Wow.
One final employee concluded, "I think I've seen 5 people come in for it, all of whom have given it atrocious reviews. I watched Ryan's World movie and let me tell you, it made the Emoji Movie look like an Oscar
Not the
contender.
Emoji
What's
Movie!
next?
Oh my
Aggregate
god.
IMDb rating of 2.1 stars would make it the 18th worst film ever made if this rating had come from at least 10,000 reviewers. On Rotten Tomatoes, a professional critic wrote, "This cinematic junk is what happens when underage YouTube stars with no acting talent have parents who pay for the family to star in a vanity movie motivated by greed. It's not the kids' fault."
Wow.
Bluntly refused to rate it, stating, "We are not providing a review for this film, as our reviewers object to its roots. So how much money did the movie lose? The film had a budget of $10 million.
$10 million for that is atrocious, by the way.
We financed it along with the Apocalypse Watch together. We put ourselves a big bet on this movie.
How much does this film cost?
Millions of dollars.
However, it was pulled from cinemas after only 3 weeks,
Oh!
with $613,000. It made just $311 per theater and is now only available to purchase on YouTube. Can someone get this poor kid new parents already? Jesus, it's not even making money anymore."
That is awful. That is awful. There's no way that took 10 million. I don't know how it took 10 million, but man, if they had just made the animated version of it as their own little series on YouTube, it would have done fine. It would have done fine. There is no reason why he needed to have his own movie. And then them being like, "We put a lot of our life savings into this." Like, bro, what's wrong with you guys? That is all the money that Ryan has earned. And you're putting it in a movie not knowing if it'll do well? Like, Ryan probably has not a single cent to his name anymore because of his parents. Because of all of this.